Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn history today, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And after we've done it, we're going to do stretching. And if you participate in the stretching, then it's relatively honest. Now, I had a little idea how we call our presentation Babylon and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Okay, maybe. Okay, what is the story? The story is that 626 before Christ, an alliance between the Chaldeans of southern Babylon, ruled by Nabopolassar, and the Medes of Persia, overtoppled or defeated Assyria, and now Nabopolassar, the mentioned ruler of the Chaldeans of southern Babylonia, became the ruler king of Babylon. And he started Nabopolassar to build a wall, and when his son and Babylon regained its glory as the old Babylonia had, we could mention it, but we don't have much information about it. It was defeated by Assyria, gained glory again, and he let build a wall. And now his son Nebuchadnezzar II continued this work. He fortified the wall and built fortresses, and he built also a fortified royal palace. And in that palace there is a finely modeled relief of a magnificent glazed a lion finely modeled in relief once decorated a magnificent glazed brick walls of a throne room in Nebuchadnezzar's splendid palace in Babylon. And there is, for example, in the throne room in the palace, a finely modeled relief of a lion, of a golden lion. Never written where this going. Let this go. And he also let build a bridge over the river Euphrates, and now at the banks of the river Euphrates, he let build the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. He was married to Semiramis, he was the verb of the mountain of Persian homeland. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built terraced 100 meters high, surrounded by stone floor beds and in them the soil, and then there were, what is this now? A profusion of exotic trees. There was a profusion of exotic trees growing and shrubs and creepers and flowers. And there were marble staircases leading from one of these terraces to the other one, and also over these marble staircases there were stone arcs. Slaves were pumping through Archimedean screws the water up to cisterns on the topmost terrace, and from them the fountains, the wells and the streams were fed. And the whole thing, so that it was not undermined by the water, must have been an architectural masterwork. Just 22 years, and it was surrounded by centimeters before, just 22 years later, after the death of Nebuchadnezzar II, is it somehow savable, grammatically? Just 22 years later, if I have not mentioned afterward, later, that this speaking is of, it is spoken of later, meaning here Nebuchadnezzar II's death. Babylon fell to the Cyprus the Great, the Assyrian Emperor Cyrus, not Cyprus. Cyprus is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. Cyrus the Great to the Persian Empire, Cyrus the Great again. He ended the fourth struggle city. But the hangings of Babylon continued for most probably 300 years, for at least 300 years, because they were described by Berossus. What name is Berossus? Berossus, a Babylonian priest, Berossus. That is according to Once of Blood by Leonard Galaxy. Okay, I'm going to stop the camera. We have time for around 3 or 4 takes. Babylon and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. 626 before Christ, there were the Assyrians overtoppled by an allegiance of the Chaldeans of southern Babylon and the Medes of Persia. And the ruler of the Chaldeans of southern Babylonia, Nabopolassar, became the king of Babylon. And Babylon reached its old glory which it had as the old Babylonian Empire previously, which was defeated by Assyria earlier. And Nabopolassar, the king, built a fortified wall and fortified the city, and his son Nebuchadnezzar II continued this work. He built fortresses and strong points along the wall, and also did he build, or did build, a royal palace. And in that royal palace, for example, there was in the throne room a relief finely made of a golden lion. He built also a bridge over the river Euphrates, which was flying through Babylon, and also at the banks of this river Euphrates were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built. Nebuchadnezzar II was married to Semiramis. Semiramis was missing the mountains of her Persian homeland, and she disliked the flatness of Babylon. And so these Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built, and these were terraces stacked on top of each other, 100 meters high, surrounded by a 7-meter thick wall. And there were marble staircases leading from one of these terraces to the other, and over these marble staircases there were stone arcs. And they were all lined at the borders with stone flower beds with soil in them, and there was a profusion of exotic trees, shrubs, creepers, and flowers growing in them. And when the Achaemenians closed, did slaves pump up water to the topmost terrace. There were cisterns, and from these cisterns the waterfalls, streams, and fountains were fed with water. But all was a masterwork of architecture that not the water was undermining the whole structure. Now, just 22 years after Nebuchadnezzar II had died, Babylon was again conquered by the Assyrian king Cyrus the Great. But the Hanging Gardens of Babylon existed for at least 300 years longer because Berosus, a Babylonian priest, described them once and mentioned them. And that is according to Leonel Galaxi's Wonders of the World, page 15 and 16. I think I second one. So I'm going to set the camera. And we are done with the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. That means if you still interested in history, you can go to the next part of history. We will do now the stretching. If you stay and participate in the stretching, that is better at your own risk. Go to a second stance and we're breathing in and lifting the arms up. Now breathe out and go over to one side. Breathe again in. And out back into the middle. Breathe again in. And out over to the other side. Breathe again in. And out into the middle and the arms down. And now, you're breathing in. And out and one hand slides down the leg and the other shoulder stays down. Breathe again in. And out and you're taking one arm over. Breathe in and out the rib cage. And out back into the middle. Breathe again in. And out. Now one sees the acropter exercise to the other side. The shoulder stays down. Breathe again in. And out and we're taking one arm over. Breathe in and out the rib cage. And breathe out into the middle. Now the feet standing together. The aeronautical airplane. Breathe in. Lift the arms up. And breathe out. One hand comes down. Breathe in and reach. And breathe out, handing it up. Again. Out, one hand down. Breathe in and reach. Out, one hand up and down. And now shoulder circuits. Go to stable stance. And we're doing forward shoulder circuits. Come back. And backwards. And now breathe in and lift the shoulders up. And breathe out, let them fall down. Again in. And shoulders down. Last time in. And out and the shoulders down. And now we have a pucker. Breathe in. Arms up, and now reach always with one arm high up. Pretend to take an apple, hanging high on an apple branch, to turn it a bit around, and then to live it away. And also last time, we're going under the shifter. Arms up to a T, legs wide apart, we breathe in. And breathe out, shift just to the upper part of the body over to one side. Again. Now and over to the other side. Again. And out over to the other side. out, we're leaning onto the knees. The buffalo fighting its hangover, we breathe in. And out, one shoulder in front. Take it in, shoulder back. And out, a shoulder in front. In, shoulder back. And out, a shoulder in front. In, back. Out, the other one in front. In. And out and hanging down. And we're doing Vinyasa folds. So just keep breathing deep in into the chest. And out it from love. Like that. In. And out. Like it in. And out over to one leg. Breathe again in. And out over to the other leg. Breathe again in. And out of the leg. And below the Salto Angelo. Close the feet, but we keep on hanging down and deep breathing. Breathe in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out we come. Small again, the first one, back up and making it top and backwards. Another garden pause. The toes are pointing to the outside, having an ulnar limb space between the heels. Breathe in as the arms up. And breathe out and we're sinking down and place the elbows against the inside of the knees. Breathe in, straighten up. And breathe out and come back up. Breathe again. And out again down. In. And out again down. Again in. Again in. And out, coming on straight line upwards. And the arms up. And we're ending with a triangle legs. Legs out to the outside, breathe in. Breathe in. And out. Get in. Out. 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 Breathe in, close the legs. And out. It was the session. Thank you very much, and until next time.